All right, welcome back. Our conversation with Detroit's top cop, James White, continues. The George Floyd death in Minneapolis has put a warranted spotlight on policing right now in the nation. And so I think everybody, all of us are looking at the police department through a very strict microscopic lens. Do you think that's unfair?
No, I don't. I think what happened to George Floyd was horrible. It was murder. And that's not what I signed up for, to be a police officer. As a black man, father of a black woman, that's not, and hopefully a grandfather one day soon, that's not what I signed up for, and that's not the type of policing that I want in this country, and certainly not in my department. And I'm proud to say that our officers work hard to ensure that we have a relationship with our community. So I don't think looking at this work under that lens is inappropriate at all. Damage has been done, harm has occurred, and to ensure harm doesn't happen again, there has to be accountability, and you can only have accountability with illumination and transparency.
Let's move quickly to two major issues, and I want to talk about attrition in terms of officers who are leaving your department, getting trained, and then bam, they're out. But before that, ShotSpotter facial recognition technology have been a bone of contention in the debate around constitutional policing. You've defended both, but you know, on the other hand here, I disagree, and I think there are experts who also disagree in terms of just facial recognition and its propensity to misidentify black and brown people. Why does the department still have facial recognition technology? What good comes out of it?
Lots of good, because we're able to get people who have victimized our community. And the key with facial recognition is policy, and ensuring redundancy and not using it as a sole mechanism to make an arrest. Early on with the implementation of facial recognition, there was a misstep, and we changed our policy. So now we only use it for Part 1 crimes, rape, murder, and its attempt. And we don't use it for other crimes such as larcenies and B&Es and things like that, even though, believe it or not, we get a lot of requests to do so.
So you've codified it?
Yes. But here's the other piece, policy. You cannot submit a warrant for arrest based on a hit from a facial recognition. You use it as a tool, and if it comes back and says that James White is the facially recognized person, then now the investigation must ensure that James White had an opportunity to commit the crime, that James White wasn't at work, and other pieces go into that investigation, and then that warrant is submitted to the prosecutor's office for review.
So let me ask the question then, who monitors the technology to ensure that it is not subject to abuse?
Who's monitors is a couple things. One is we do a report every week, and that report goes to the Board of Police Commissioners to ensure compliance. That report comes to me. That report goes to our Crime Intelligence Unit, which reviews, and there's also this peer review process where when the report is submitted and the facial recognition positive hit comes back, that another analyst looks at it from square one to completion to ensure that they have the same findings that you do. And then the oversight of that is the supervision of the police department. And there are audits to ensure that we don't have situations with it any longer. And frankly, I'm proud to report that since we've implemented these protocols, we have not had one incident. And that report is a public report that we give to the Board of Police Commissioners every week at our meeting.
And I asked the question because there was an African-American male who became a victim of your use of facial recognition technology.
Early stages, policies weren't as strong as they are now. The peer review process was not in place. And the charge that he was charged with, we no longer even use facial recognition for. We made a policy decision that facial recognition shall only be used for those crimes that threaten the life of someone, not property.
So ShotSpotter came before council, a bone of contention, like facial recognition technology. The results that we have seen, or the report research from Northwestern Law School, shows that in fact the bad outweighs the good.
Absolutely.
But you disagree?
I totally disagree. That is probably...
How has it worked in the rush of violence, gun violence we're seeing in the city?
Oh, you would be amazed. You would be, we have 111 less people shot this year than last year, and I will tell you that ShotSpotter is likely, and I have not done the
so likely it's not definite.
It's not definite, but I'll tell you, in the areas that it is deployed, we are seeing those reductions. Now, I don't have the data set with me
Well,
today.
but if you say likely, that means, I mean, there isn't the preponderance of using it as a definite evidence.
So here's where I would have to disagree with you, and I would invite you to come out on a ride-along, because here's what happens.
Okay.
So in our community,
I will.
and I would love for you to do that, and I'll make sure I'm a part of that. Here's what happens in our community. We have become desensitized to gunfire. This is a condition that nobody should take for granted. Anytime a gun is fired, the expectation or the assumption should be that someone is trying to kill somebody. Unfortunately, in some communities, gunfire is so prevalent, it's like an auto alarm. Remember auto alarm first came out, people looked out the window, now they just wish somebody would turn them off. And what we find, so many of these runs we respond to, we got a person standing in a vacant lot shooting up in the air, testing out their new gun. We've got somebody laying on the ground that has recently been shot and the person is running from the scene. We collect evidence, we're able to put that evidence in what's called NIBIN, we're able to connect those weapons to other shootings, and we're able to get those shooters off the street before they shoot somebody else. It is amazing what ShotSpotter has brought. Some of the reports, some of the pushback that I've read is a lot of misinformation. They talk about racial identification with ShotSpotter. ShotSpotter doesn't look for race, it looks for gunshots. It doesn't record voices. There's no cameras associated with it to pick up people. It doesn't.
But does it exaggerate where the gunshots are taking place?
Absolutely not. It gives you an area of about a football field that you can, and it triangulates around that it picked up the compression of a shot in this time, in this space, in this time frame.
But it still hinges on the likelihood, like you indicated.
No, it's not likelihood, it's definite. So the shot itself is definite. So it's within about 81 feet.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in the Detroit context, you're saying that most of the shots that have taken place, there's a likelihood that ShotSpotter detected them.
What I'm telling you, there's a definite detection of a shot in a particular area. As we expand out, as you move away from the sensors, then it doesn't become as accurate. It puts you within 81 feet of where the actual shot is fired, and as a result, we're able to collect evidence, and we're seeing a reduction in those areas that have ShotSpotter deployed.
And I think we'll continue to disagree on that, though. But let me move this conversation to attrition here. Police officers coming out of the academy 2-3 years and they're out of here. Detroit paying for officers to be trained, and basically there's a brain drain. What is being done to rein that back in? I mean, or is this just?
No, that's what started our conversations with our contract. You're absolutely right. We're losing officers to suburban communities at a rate that is absurd. We were losing 30 to 35 officers a month. We were training them. They were going to other agencies. Our friends over in Warren and some others around. We had as many Detroit police officers coming in as I was getting in. I'm happy to report that we were able to get a really strong contract done, supported by our mayor, who gave me the dollars I needed to really put together a contract that is real. We looked at.
So what's in the contract? If you sign on, you're not going to leave?
Here's what's in the contract. On average, there's a 10% raise, on average, I'm sorry, about 10%. The other piece of it is if you leave within 3 years, and you go to another police agency, our taxpayers get their money back. So if you want them, you buy them. You buy them out. You buy them out of their contract, and we just got that approved, and that's a powerful piece for us, and it will be implemented with this new contract, which just got signed. And so I'm excited about that, and it's already paying dividends. I'm a data person.
What's the response from the police union on that?
They understood the need to retain our people. Their push was that we pay them, and I think that this contract addresses that. On average, a Detroit police officer can make up to $85,000 a year. That's a lot more than I started with 27 years ago at $25,000 a year. The other part of that is, aside from the city and the taxpayers getting their money back, we have seen a reduction now. So we're averaging 30 a month. We have 13 members in the month of November, in the month of October to separate. And the good news about that is a number of those are just regular retirements. And one was, we had a couple separations for discipline reasons. The attrition rate has slowed. And I got 21 letters on my desk from people from those suburban agencies asking to come back.
Okay. So let me move forward to the FBI crime report here. I've noticed this, and this was before your leadership, but it's in the police department, this penchant to respond and try to discredit the FBI's uniform crime report. When Detroit Police Department does that, is it failing to take ownership of its own responsibility in addressing crime and being defensive as opposed to saying, okay, let's look at the FBI crime report here. The previous regime before you was notorious for disputing FBI uniform crime report. Is there something misunderstanding about this?
I think there could be some misunderstanding. And I'm not, we'll talk about what my administration does. The Uniform Crime Report comes out every October 1st. Our data is submitted in March. Okay, and then what happens is when you're looking at data, for example, let's say someone is assaulted and that data comes out as an assault in our records, but let's say during the course of the time the data is submitted and the report is published, that assault turns into a homicide.
Right.
So now you have an assault that is in your stats, but one less homicide.
Yeah.
Or one more homicide. Right. The clarification is that person languished, ultimately died, and so the numbers are off. Prior to 2016, we had a very antiquated data collection model with our uniform crime reporting modules or record keeping modules. Right. We have a much more robust system.
Okay.
And we're reporting now about 99% accuracy with the FBI.
Right.
So I'd like to think that, you know, when I come out, it'll be more explaining the discrepancies and not defending my position. But I think it's important that the community understands why there is a difference. Sometimes should be a great difference, but there could be a few numbers off with UCR or FBI numbers and actual DPD numbers.
Finally, as we move into 2023, I want to look into the crystal ball quickly of the police department here. With the rush of the spate of violence in the city of Detroit, what's to expect in 2023? One may conclude there's really not much because it doesn't seem as if something is going on.
Well, I'm going to say it's going to be a whole lot. And I think that one of the things we're going to continue to do, which we have done, is reduce crime. And we've done that, right? 100 less people shot, significantly less robberies in our community. There's going to be a focus on community policing. And I mean neighborhood policing. I mean cars going up and down the street.
Not public relations policing, but real community policing.
Real community policing. I'm talking cars going up and down side streets, proactively looking for people who are trying to victimize our community. I'm going to use these new hires to get them in the neighborhoods and on patrol. Traffic enforcement, you're going to see DPD really out there with traffic. I hope the community understands this is not trying to build revenue. This is about, tickets don't get revenue. What we're trying to do is keep people alive. We got so many accidents in our community, people driving 50, 60 miles an hour through stop signs and hurting themselves. Drag racing, drifting, these three-wheelers. We're going to focus on those quality of life issues. And I think if you do the little things well, the big things will fall in line. We can't wait to address issues when they become a homicide. We got to stop them before they become homicides.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yes, sir.
All right. Detroit Police Chief James White answering the hard questions here on Sunday Nation. We'll be right back after this break. Stay with us. I'm Bankole Thompson.